Oh, guys, I was thinking what other topic we should talk about in PaskoVlog, and I guess instead of just random facts and how the world is working and shit, is how about we focus on ourselves for once. I mean, it's no secret that most gamers are depressed because games have multiple purposes, but the main one is to escape from the reality, right? And if you're escaping from the reality, it's usually because of two things. Either A, you need a break, or B, you don't want to be in the reality. So, why? Why are people depressed? Why are there middle-aged crises? Why are people feeling burnout, etc., etc., right? It doesn't have to be one thing, it can be multiple things. Well, it's because there is a thing missing, and the thing is a drive, some kind of motivation. That is the reason why you feel how you feel, because you don't have a purpose, right? And the issue, and why especially depression is such a complicated issue, why it's not easily solvable. I mean, I myself am going to a psychiatrist and psychologist, and the amount of treatments, the amount of pills and therapies and other methods is so wide, basically meaning that there is just no simple solution to depression. I mean, there is a solution, a direct solution, but it's definitely not simple. I heard this story, I'm not sure where it was from, but basically a guy in Africa, he lost his leg, right? So he got an amputation on like the amputation, and then he got the fake leg, right? And his job was that he was herding some kind of animals. I'm not sure if it was sheep or what, but to get to the meadow where it was, he had to go through a swamp, and going through the swamp with the prosthesis is what it's called, gave him insane amount of pain, right? Basically what used to be completely easy for him became incredibly difficult and painful. So at one point he broke down and he just lay in a bed and he refused to get up. So they called him a psychiatrist, an African one. You listen to his story, and you know what he prescribed him? It wasn't pills, it wasn't therapies to talk and shit. He said to his friends to buy him a cow. They bought him a cow, they put it in front of his house, so he no longer had to go through the swamp and shit. And he just could have taken care of a cow, make milk, butter and shit, and get an easy way of living again. And that's how they fixed his depression, which is how they solve issues in Africa. I'm sure there are many terrible examples of how it went with other people, but it makes you think, right? Because if you do see a psychiatrist in many Western countries, you always get at least some kind of pills, but what the pills do is that they basically don't solve the problem, they just sort of cut sides of it. You get me? Like, your problem is like this bubble that's slowly expanding. It's like your depression. The pills just sort of like cut into it, just keep it as it is, maybe shrink it a little bit, but that's about it. That's why you also need to see psychologists, because when your mind is no longer sort of dissolving, then the psychologist can actually, in a calm state that you currently find yourself, try to find conversation with you that will lead to you to actually solve your issues and therefore get rid of the depression. So from these things you can clearly see that the issue is simple. The issue is motivation, it's a drive. How to find it and how to obtain it, that's the hard part. So basically, in the story of Africa, it was solved because they didn't need to know what his drive is. He was just a man that wanted to work, that wanted to live out of honest work, and they made it happen, right? Well, in the Western world, it's usually not as simple because our vision of the world is way, way wider. So, while in Africa, they basically know family, work, survival. Western world, we know internet and fucking concerts and socializing on fucking Instagram. It's way more complicated. So, the first step is how to find your motivation. Well, there really is only one way to find it, and that is literally just trying everything that you haven't tried yet. That is literally the only advice I can give you. And it's not easy because most of the things you haven't tried, you probably haven't tried for a reason, right? You were scared, you felt uncomfortable with it, it was against your beliefs. There's shit ton of reasons, but there's obviously a reason behind things you haven't tried. But I can tell you, if you don't, you're fucked. You're fucked for life. So I mean, I'm probably not the best hype man to hype you up for it. I mean, you can watch Shia LaBeouf with his Do It video, maybe that make you go for it. But yeah, that's the best way to find motivation, to find drive, to find goal. And then the second hard part is obviously obtain it, because usually what you find is something you can't really achieve easily. I think it's in the human nature to really not reach somewhere where you can't ever reach. Like, for example, go to fucking Mars. Like, that's probably not gonna be your motivation. It could be, but it's very unlikely. It will probably be something like, I wanna run my own company. I want to have a life with a wife and get like 50 kids, 2 kids. It could be, I want to be powerful, I want to make decisions, or I want to be rich, I don't know, like make $1 million. It can be a lot of things. Obviously they're not hard to achieve, but at that point, like, if you actually do find it, the only hard thing to how to obtain it is to start. Because after you start, you'll get going, sort of. You get the traction. It's like you're a train in the train station. it seems like impossible that this train will suddenly go 100 kilometers per hour when you just see it standing there. It's fucking big. How does it move, right? But if you get to that slow start before it gets going, then it's definitely possible. So yeah, and how to make that hard start happen? It's sort of like a very basic psychology, and that is at the moment where you find the goal, or if you already have it now, you actually know the goal, start now. Not start tomorrow, or oh, it's late, I should go to sleep, so tomorrow. No, just start now. If you're fucking are supposed to go to sleep, then please work for it. 1 hour. Just go 1 more hour than you're supposed to. Start now. And not even, okay, I'll go get a dinner, then start. No. You can't waste a single second, a single minute. You have to start now. Because if you delay it to tomorrow, the odds of you actually starting go by 50% down. It's a lot. So if you actually want to get that train fucking moving, if you wanna go from the fucking Berlin to Tokyo, you need to start now, just as this video ends. It doesn't have to be long. It can be only that 1 hour. If you're doing this in the afternoon and you don't have the entire day to do anything, then go for the entire day. As long as you manage to do this every day for a week, it will start becoming natural. It will become a habit, then an addiction, and at that point you will do it without actually even thinking about it. So yeah, that is the solution to depressions, burnouts, life crises, shit like that. It's not easy, but it's definitely realistic and it's definitely doable. So go for it. Anyone can do it. Anyone. You can be blind. You can not have arms. You can still do it. Good luck. It works out for you.